Hey there, I'm Josh Little, and this is a 4-part series on business ideation. Do you have business ideas? Do you wish you had more? Do you wonder if your ideas are any good, or do you have so many ideas that you're not even sure which one to choose? Well, this program is for you. This is going to be a 4-part series on ideation, and today we're going to talk about problems. That's the first part of a business idea, is you need to find a problem. The second part is you need to find the solution to that problem. And then what I'm going to teach you is the third part, is how to upgrade those solutions, how to turn good ideas into great business ideas. And that's going to be the first 3 parts of this course. Today, we're going to focus only on finding problems. You're going to embark on a quest to find the most painful problems. Now, I know you've been to the doctor and they've asked you the question, what level is your pain? From a scale of 1 to 10, from least to most. But in business, you're moving from nice to have to must have, from meh to take my money. Must-have problems are easy to find product market fit. That's why we're going to focus on the top half of this pain scale. You're really only going to want to focus on problems that are 6 and above. Those are take my money sort of problems. And those are the ones where it's easiest to find product market fit, easiest to make sure that your customer loves your product and is trying to pull it out of your hands. There's 2 approaches to doing this that I'm going to teach you today. There are multiple, but there's 2 main approaches that I recommend. The first is outside in, and the second is inside out. Now, outside in, you're going to find other people's problems and find a solution to them. These are problems that you don't experience, or maybe you know about them, but you don't really understand in depth, and you need other people to help you find those. And so let's talk about outside in first. So first thing you're going to do is find the problem. You're going to interview people, and then you're going to try to build from yourself. You're in the middle of this target, and you're going to build outside. You're going to think about finding the team or putting together the resources or the capital to solve the problem. You're going to work outside in. You're going to start with the problem first, right? And when you do that, you're not going to just stop at one. You're going to find multiple problems, and you're going to rate each of these problems on that pain scale from 1 to 10. So you're going to interview a nurse friend of yours. You're going to talk to a doctor. You're going to talk to a mechanic. You're going to talk to somebody who works in marketing and business, maybe sales. Everyone that you could find that you think could have problems, you're going to interview them. And then you're going to connect the dots. You're going to find a distinct problem. Maybe a nurse friend of yours has a really hard time with patients taking their meds on time. And then you're going to start to ideate, well, who could you get to help you fix that? And what resources would you need? And you don't have to figure all of this out. You just have to kind of imagine if you could pull these things together and solve this problem. Now, inside out problems are different. We're going to start with you in the center, and we're going to work with resources or partners or people that you have access to, that you already know, and work to find problems that you could solve with those resources. So you're going to build from the center and find a team, find a partner, find capital to be able to eventually solve a problem. From here, the vector of problems could be multiple. So we're going to zoom in on this. So first, let's talk about you and a potential co-founder. Now, you could do this exercise together, but you don't have to. Let's say you and this person share some experience in the legal field, and you've been working as a paralegal for years, and this co-founder is also an expert there. That means that there's probably certain vectors that the 2 of you would be most likely to be able to solve. And so the 2 of you, or just you thinking about this partner, could ideate a number of problems, a number of problem vectors that you could explore. And you're going to make a list of those. Or maybe you have a different co-founder, and this co-founder has experience in e-commerce and retail. And you know, that's going to send you off on a different path of vectors, different problems that you could solve. Or maybe you and that co-founder and another co-founder, oh, well, that would be interesting. Well, what problems could we solve together? That opens up your field of vectors. Does that make sense? This is inside out, you working with other people to try to solve problems and build potential business ideas, right? But it doesn't have to be people. It could also be a company or a partner. Maybe there's a partner that has a customer list that would be, perfect for this certain space. Now, when you're working with partners or resources, the field of vectors tends to be a little bit more limited because there's a certain set of customers that they have. What if you could build a business with this partner who already had access to these certain customers? Well, we could solve X, Y, and Z problem, right? Or another resource is your expertise. You have certain expertise that you've developed over time. Maybe you're not even thinking about co-founders. What kind of problems could you solve with your expertise? Start to, think of those vectors and list those. Or maybe a distribution channel. Let's say you had 1 million followers on YouTube for dog grooming or something, right? Oh, well, now you've got a distribution channel. What kind of problems should you solve? They're probably pet or dog grooming problems, and you start thinking about the problems you could solve with dog grooming. Does that make sense? So you're starting with yourself, with the resources, partners, people around you, and starting to work out and ideate problems that you could solve with this set of resources. And then maybe you add a co-founder to that, and it expands your field of problems even more. So 2 approaches, outside in and inside out, both different. Outside in, you're working from the outside, from other people's problems, trying to develop a team to solve them. Inside out, you're starting with your team, the parts that you have, the resources, the distribution, and trying to think about problems that you could solve with them. Either way, you're going to make a big list of awesome problems, and then you're going to go ideate solutions, how to solve them in the next episode. So let's talk about the protocol. This is what you're going to do to find outside in problems. First thing is you're going to make a list of 50 people. You're going to go through your social connections. You're going to go to LinkedIn. You're going to make a list of all the people that would be willing to take a meeting with you to talk about their problems. These could be family. These could be friends. I'm sure anyone could make a list of 50 people, and those 50 people probably have unique problems that they would like solved. Second thing you're going to do is reach out to them. You're going to say, hey, I'm looking for a juicy problem to solve for my next venture. Would you be willing to chat with me about the problems you run into at work? And work, why at work? Because I want you to think about business problems. I want you to think about work problems more than consumer problems. Yes, we all have consumer problems. Consumer tech companies, consumer-focused companies are typically harder to solve problems for. I'd recommend you focus on work, but if there are juicy problems that they run into in their life, in their home, those could also be interesting problems to solve. And then the third thing you're going to do is go interview these people, meet up with them, jump on a call with them, and you're going to ask them a series of questions. These might be some good questions to ask them. First would be, walk me through your typical day. What do you do on a typical day? I wake up and I, go to work and then I typically, make coffee, or when I get in, I do this. All of these things that they're saying could be clues to potential problems that you could find. And maybe they stumble across them and then when I get to my desk, I've got to realign all of my cameras because, I'm making videos for the day or whatever that might be. Problem, interesting. And we just did that making this video. The second question you might ask them is, what do you feel like is a waste of time in your day? What are you doing that you just shouldn't have to do, that you feel like, man, somebody should just solve this? Third question would be, if you could make any problem go away in your life, at work, what would that be? All of these questions are trying to get to like certain problems. And don't think one person, one problem. One person might have 4, 5, 10 problems that you run into that you could solve. And then you're going to ask the special question, if you could wave a magic wand, what would be the ideal solution? How would this problem go away in your life? How would that solution show up for you? The magic wand question is also pretty powerful at getting to problems. If you could wave a magic wand and make any problem go away in your life, what would that be, right? So these are just examples of questions you would ask someone to get at their problems. Each person, you're going to have 50 people, might have multiple. You might end up with 200, 300 problems on a list here. Some of these you could rule out right away as like, that's not a painful problem. That's not an interesting problem to me. So you're just going to collect the problems. In the beginning, you don't have to scrutinize them too much, because I'm going to show you how to pare these problems down, pare your solutions down through each of these stages of this course. So tips. First, go as broad as possible. Talk to someone about all of the problems they encounter. Whatever is a thorn in their side, you want to talk to them about it. Like I said, it could be multiple problems. Second, turn over every stone. Make sure that you're digging in to try to understand these problems as deeply as possible, and not just skipping over certain problems. Again, you're just embarking on a quest to find the most painful problems. In the beginning, you don't really care what these problems are. You just want to create a list of problems and start thinking about them. And then third, when somebody states a problem, don't just take it at face value. Most people don't really understand the root of the problem. They don't really understand like why this problem is actually manifesting on their life. And typically they'll cite a surface problem. So you're going to ask the 5 whys, and you're just going to start asking why questions. So, oh, that's an interesting problem. Why is this a problem for you? Oh, interesting. And why do you feel that way? And why would they do that? And oh, so why don't they have enough time? Interesting. Okay. Oh, well, why can't they change this? Oh, it turns out the root of this problem isn't the thing that you stated in the beginning. It's the thing that other people are causing that would make it difficult to change, right? Like that's the core problem. And typically when you dive down to the root problem, you're finding a more painful problem than the surface level problem, which may be an annoyance or a meh, sort of nice to have problem. So that's outside in. Make a list of 50 people. You're going to go interview them. You're going to create a big list of problems, and then you're going to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10. Inside out, different protocol. This time you're going to make a list of at least 20 opportunities. And when I say opportunities, you're going to think about your skills, your expertise, what you're good at. You're going to think about relationships you have. Who do you know that you would love to work with, that you could maybe build an interesting business with? What co-founders could you have? And you're going to think about resources that you have, distribution channels, partnerships, maybe some intellectual property that you have. Intellectual property, it doesn't have to be a patent or a trademark. It could also just be a certain way of thing, or a certain thing that you know how to do better than anyone else. That could be serving customers in a certain way. That could be marketing or running Facebook ads in a certain way, or it could be a video algorithm that lets you record videos at a certain size. You don't have to have patents. They could just be your unique cheat code. And you could start with each of those and work your way out. And the reason this list is a little bit smaller is you're going to tend to probably find more problems that you could solve with this skill, this relationship with this resource than you would in the interview. So you might add another 100 or 200 problems to your list going through this. Now, I know that sounds like a lot. That's okay. This is important. You need to be able to choose from dozens of great business ideas. And we're not going to be going through each of these 4 phases with hundreds. We're going to pair at each stage, we're going to pare it down to just the best. You want the best business ideas competing for your time. You want a list of, at the end of this, a dozen business ideas that you are so excited about, you couldn't imagine doing anything else in your life than working on one of these. Now the hard part is like, which one would you choose? I'm going to teach you all that in the next 3 segments. So you're going to explore problems that could be solved with each of those skills, relationships, or resources inside out. Does that make sense? And then tips on this one. What you're looking for are the parts to a Ferrari. And this metaphor works for me. You've got a really great engine, and you actually have some pretty cool tires and wheels. Like you've got a really great co-founder, and you actually have a Facebook group on short-term rentals. Well, what could we start to build with that? Oh, could you find the transmission, the chassis, the body that you need to put around those things? Could you find? Oh, well, you have an interesting Facebook on short-term rentals. Well, what kind of problems do short-term rentals folks have? Oh, they have these problems. Oh, well, it turns out, we've got access to someone else who can help build the software for this problem for short-term rentals because they have a really hard time with scheduling maintenance. Oh, it's more of a maintenance idea. You see what I mean? You start putting together parts, and pretty soon you realize, oh, we have the parts to a Ferrari. And if you have the parts to a Ferrari, you should put it together. You should build a business around that. So that's kind of the game you're playing here, is like putting together the parts of a really interesting vehicle that could be a powerful business. And then the second, it's a warning. Try not to be a solution looking for a problem. It's harder to do that when you're outside in because you're starting with the problem. Inside out, you can tend to start just thinking about solutions. Let's go back to the short-term rental idea. We have a Facebook group of short-term rental owners. Oh, we could make this for short-term rental owners. We could make garage door openers we could make a scheduling app. Okay, Well, what's the problem? You've just skipped the problem stage. Make sure that you stay on problems in this stage. Just focus on problems. Don't even worry about solutions. Your mind will naturally want to go to solutions because we're all just naturally problem solvers. But do not be a solution looking for a problem, because that is a recipe for a weak business. Okay, after you're doing all that, you're going to make a list of all of your problems, and you're going to create a column of like inside out or outside in, like where you got these problems. Maybe you could even add like who you got these problems from, and then you're going to give them a pain score. Once you do that, maybe you have dozens, maybe you have hundreds of problems. That's great. You're going to sort this list from Z to A. 10 pain problems at the top, and you're going to cut off everything on the list. If you want to just delete anything that's 5 and below, go ahead, but nothing beyond a 6 goes past into the next stage. And if this is interesting to you, and we're going to have 3 more episodes in this series. We're building an ideation course, which has a much more expanded view of each of these with workshops and exercises in them. So if you're interested in that, check out the link below. And by the way, if this is valuable to you, think about liking and subscribing. Next time, what we're going to talk about is how to solve these problems, how to ideate multiple solutions to each problem. This is why we're going to pare it down to only 6+ problems. You want the most painful problems that you're ideating solutions to. And you can ideate a product or a service. There's multiple vectors in which you could even ideate solutions to any certain problem. And I'm going to teach you how to do that and how to ideate really good solutions. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.